Hello, welcome back to Cracking the Cryptic. Now today we've got something exciting. It's a guest video. This one is by Tom Collyer, who is one of the world's best Sudoku solvers. Certainly one of the top 2 or 3 in the UK. He's been to the World Championship many times. He's won the UK Championship many times. So it's a real privilege actually to watch him solve Sudoku. And he's been intrigued by all of the attention we've been getting for these between 1 and 9 Sudoku puzzles recently. So he thought he would do a video for us on a puzzle he's found in that vein, and he'd also talk a bit about his technique. And the thing I was struck by when I watched the video is that his technique actually differs quite a lot from the techniques that Mark and I have been using. So what Tom likes to do is he tries to identify the squares in the puzzle that can't contain the numbers 1 and 9, and that leads to some different logic. And yeah, it's definitely worth watching. The other thing I thought was great about the video was when sort of Tom speeds up towards the end. So once he's got a lot of given digits, he really does fly through the rest of the puzzle, and that's a bit terrifying. But I think you'll enjoy watching it. So without further ado, let's introduce Tom. Oh, but just one more thing. If you enjoy the video, please subscribe. We really appreciate it. Give us a thumbs up. Yeah, we think the YouTube algorithm likes us more for that.
Hello and welcome to another guest edition of Cracking the Cryptic. My name's Tom Collyer and I'm producing a guest video for you here today. And the subject of today's video is between 1 and 9 Sudoku, which seems to have been very popular on the channel recently. Mark and Simon have been solving a couple of examples, and Mark actually also created one himself. The example I'm solving today comes courtesy of the young and brilliant Chinese solver Tantan Dai. Now, Tantan is an exceptional solver, one of the world's very best, a definite World Championship contender. Every now and again, she also puts together a puzzle. So I've no doubt that what she's put together here is going to be a very interesting solve. So without further ado, perhaps let's jump straight into the solve. Now, perhaps I'll say a little bit about how I like to go about solving these puzzles. I think the most important things are to place where the 1 and the 9 can go in the grid. Get those positions sorted out, and then it becomes a case of fitting in the rest of the numbers around those 1s and 9s. So the first place I'm going to look is going to be in the 3rd row, where we actually have the 1 and the 9 given. There's 3 cells to get between 1 and 9 to add to 21. It can only happen one way. That's actually going to be 6, 7 and 8 in some order. Let's just put that in. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, so you can notice we can't actually really resolve the 6, 7 and the 8, but at least we know that the 1 and the 9 aren't there. So I'm going to start marking places in the grid where a 1 and a 9 definitely cannot go. That's going to show us how we might get through this type of puzzle. So 3rd row easy enough because we've got the 1 and 9 already, so everything else can't. Can't be a 1 or a 9. So there we go. Next place to look is going to be the 3rd column and the 7th column. Well, we can't have a 9 here because we'll struggle to get to 23. The same reason we can't have 9 here, here, or here. There just aren't enough cells to get to that 23 total. So we have the 9 it's going to be in one of these 2 places. Exactly the same reasoning means we can rule out these from being a 1 in this column. So the next place I'm going to look at is going to be these zeros and how they might possibly interact. So the first thing to note is we can't actually have a 1 here because then that would have to be a 9 here. That doesn't work. The next thing I'm going to note, and I think this is probably going to be the first interesting thing we can see about this puzzle, is going to be how these zeros are working. And so, well, firstly, what we can see is if we had a 1 or a 9 here, then the 0 would mean we'd have something adjacent, but then we'd actually have to have a third 1 or 9 here, which doesn't work, so we're going to have to rule that out. And what this means now is we've got a bit of interesting logic going on, because we've got these two zeros, row and column, interacting like this, and this allows us to make not quite a deduction, but certainly an interesting observation. So the 1s and the 9s are going to be fairly restricted, so we could have something like this, which would mean x being a 1 or a 9, which would mean we'd have something like that. So that could work. The next possible option would be this one and this one, but then this 0 means we'd have one here. So again, we'd have 3. It's not going to work, so we couldn't have that one. So we either have this and this, or the only other remaining possibility is this and this. So that's something to perhaps look out for. That's one observation. I think that's going to give us a clue as to how this puzzle is going to play out. We can't use that just this second, I don't think. So what I'm going to look at instead is this 20 column, so we can make a couple of deductions here. So the first one is going to be a between 1 and 9 deduction. So if we have a 1 here or here, then we couldn't have a 9 here, because, well, if we did, we'd have something like that. We're not going to get to 20, so that's not going to work. But the other thing to note is kind of an exclusion bit of logic. So we note that the numbers 1 to 9 add to 45, 1 and 9 themselves adding to 10. So what does that mean? Well, the 20 in between 1 and 9 adding to 20, plus the 1 and 9 give us 30, which means we have to have a total of 15 outside of the numbers 1 and 9 in this column. So what does this mean? Well, it means a couple of things. Firstly, so the first one is we're going to have to rule this one out. You can see if this was a 9 and we had a 1 here or here, well, we're not going to have enough space to get to 15. Similarly, I'm going to rule this one out. Now that's going to be a slightly more involved deduction, but I'll show you how it works. Again, we need the 15 outside, so we've got 1 outside, and then we'd have to have 2 outside. 2 outside adding to 15 would have to be given by 7 and 8. Well, how does that work? It doesn't, because the 8 is ruled out of both of these cells. So the only thing for it is that cannot be a 1 or a 9. So we're beginning to rule out some of the placements about 1 and 9, about where 1 and 9 can go on the right-hand side of this grid. We're fairly constrained in this column, and there's something going on here as well. I think the next thing I'm going to pick up is going to be this 23. Now 20, again, it's worth looking at the big numbers and the small numbers, and this 23 is a fairly big number. By the similar observation that we had before, 23 between the 1 and the 9 is 23. Add the 1 and the 9 to it is 33, which means we're going to have a total of 12 outside of the 1 and the 9. And that 12 can possibly be made up of 2 cells or 3 cells. It can't be made up out of 4 cells. For that reason, this gives us the following deduction. It means that, well, I'll demonstrate it. I mean, if we had, for example, this one here, then we're going to have at least 1, 2, 3, 4 outside. So that can't be a 1 or a 9, nor can this, nor can this. Good news for us, because we can now look at this column. and the 9 is fixed. We've got lots of places where it isn't, and one place where it is. There we go. So let's mark in some other places. Not a 1, not a 1, not a 1. We need to get 16. We can't have 16 from 2 cells. 7 and 8 only gives 15, so that's also not a 1, and that actually allows us to place a 1 here. So that's good news. Anything else we can do with that? Yes. Back to our 23. Well, we said we could have a maximum of 3 outside. We now have our 3 outside, and so this means we have 1 and 9 in that order. That's a good bit of progress. So the 14 now, so we can't have a 1 here or here. I think we can have a 1 here or here, and that would work, but I don't think we can have a 1 here because the 5 cells is going to be too much. We're not going to get to a total as small as 14, so we're going to rule those ones out. Let's have a look at the 7. That's the other bit of information that we've got. Well, so that couldn't be there. We could have a 9 here. We could have a 9 here. We couldn't have a 9 here because 3 cells is going to be too much to get to 7, so we can rule that one and that one out. Okay, let's see what this all means. Oh, of course we've got this one. We've got the 1 and the 9 in the box, so that gets ruled out too. Let's see now. Where's the next place to look? Yes, so here's another bit of logic similar to the here. So we know we've got a 1 here or here. Now what happens if we try and place a 9 in these 2 cells? Well, it's not going to work because the 9 would have to be next to the 1. We'd have to have 1 and 9. That's going to rule out our 1 here. So we can't have either a 1 or a 9 here because we're going to end up with 3 1s or 9s in the box. And that's forbidden. That's an interesting observation we've got going there. So what I'm going to look at now is this 12 row here. I guess we can see that we've got a 9 either here or here. And what that means is either way we're going to have this 8 inside the 1 and the 9. So this total of 12 between the 1 and the 9 is going to be 8, and it's going to have to be 4. So if we have a 9 here, not going to work, because that would have to be a 4 and that would have to be a 1, and we've ruled that out. So actually the only way we can do it is 9 here, 4 here to give us the 12, and the 1 like that, and that's very useful. This is going to allow us to make a lot of placements here. So recall we had our earlier deduction where we could either have these 2 as 1 and 9 or these 2 as 1 and 9. Well, it's no longer those 2, so it's going to be 1 and 9 in some order here. Because of the way how those zeros are interacting in the box. So what that does mean is we can now have 9 and 1 here. We're getting to 20, so that's ruled out, that's ruled out. They're all ruled out because of the box, of course. What about this 24? Well, we can rule that one out, I think. But no more than that. Similarly here, this 21 we can look at. So we're not ruling. We can't have a 1 or 9 there. 2 cells in between. It's just too small. So that allows us to do this and also this, and actually we can resolve those as we go. So we've got 1, 9, 1, 9. Anything else we can do? You get there actually. So the last place is going to be in this 20 column. This 20 column we said we had to have 15 outside. So we can either have a 1 here and have 3 outside, or we can have the 1 here and have 2 cells outside. Well, let's see what happens when we try that. And we've got these 2 adding to 15. Not going to work because 15 has to be 7 and 8. So actually that does allow us to place a 1 like that, and that's going to finish off all our 1s and 9s, I think. Let's just see. Yes, so we can't have the 9 over here and have 10 in between, so we have 9 and 9 like that. So there we go, we've got all the 1s and the 9s placed. So the rest of the solve now is, having made all these deductions, we can fill in some of the gaps. So let's do some of the easy ones. That one's an easy one. There's only one cell, that's going to be a 7. Another 7 here, so that works out quite nicely. Anywhere else we can look? I think the next one is going to be in this column here. So we've got 25 in between, 35, leaving us a total of 10. 10 can be 9, 1, 8, 2, 3, 7, or 4, 6. Well, it's going to have to be 3, 7 because the 9 and the 8 and the 6 are ruling that out. So we've got 3 and 7 like that. Anything else we can do with that? Oh yes, so just the logic. We've got 8s there and 8s there, so that's going to be an 8 there. Let's see. Yes, so we can do something similar here. So we've got 23 gives us 33. We need a total of 12, so that's going to have to be a 5. 5 outside there. Okay. I think this next one's an interesting one. We can definitely rule out the 8 there because it would have to be 8 and 4 next to each other to get to 12. 7 we can have a 2 and a 3 next to each other, or 6 we could have a 2 and a 4 next to each other. That still works. Although, if we now combine that with the 5 going on here, well, 5 in 2 cells, it's got to be 2 or 3. That's got to go like that. And actually this means this has to be a minimum of 4, so this resolves this 12. That smallest number, that can be 4, that can be a 6, that has to be a 2, and then any other way is going to add up to more than 12, so we've resolved 2, 4, 6 like that. That's useful. We can place a 3 there, we've got a 4 and a 5 there, a 2 to finish off the row. Got 4 and 5 in some order there, so that's a 2, 3, and that's 6 and 4. 2, 3, 5 to finish off this column. To finish off this row, 6, 7, 8. Well, we can at least get an 8 in there. Anything else we're looking at? Oh yes, yeah. So let's maybe take another look at this 20. So we said we were going to have 15 outside, which is going to be these two, and that one adding to 15. Well, these two therefore have to add to 13. 13 in 2 cells is either 9, 4, 8, 5, both of which are ruled out, which means we have 6, 7 in some order. What are we missing? Oh, yeah, we can have a look at this row here. So these 6 are going to be 23 and 10, 33. So these ones are going to be 12. These 3 are going to add to 12. 12 plus, what else do we know? We have 1, that gives us 13, 16. 16, 17 gives us 33, so the sum of all of this. So the sum of those 7 cells is 33, having added them all up. The 12 and the 21. So these 2 remaining here and here have to add up to 12 as well. 33 and plus 12 gives us 45. Well, we can't have 6 and 6. We're going to have to resolve that 7, 5. Gives us a 6 there. I think that's more or less all we're going to need to solve the puzzle now. So let's just fill in some numbers quickly and see if there's anything else interesting in the solve. Three. Just going through the motions a little bit now. What am I missing? 3 there. 3 there and 3 there. Let's do it properly. Oh yeah. There's one little bit of addition going on here. So these three are 14. So that's those two is 10. 10 is 1 9. Well, not in this case. 2 8, 3 7, or 4 6. Well, it's not 3 7 or 4 6, so it's 2 8. So that's the other interesting thing to look at there. 3. That's 5 8. So that's going to be 6 7 in some order. 6 7 in some order. Oh, yep. One other bit of addition. So these 6 cells, 21 in between, 31, leaving us 14 here. 14. Well, we'll take off 3, so these have to add to 11. 11 is either 6 5 or 7 4. Well, it's going to be 7 4. I think that should now be it. I didn't want to do that. Let's be a 6. Type properly. Yeah, I think we're home and dry. That's a 6. Right, and there we have it. That's between 1 and 9 at Sudoku. So thanks again to Tantan Dai for providing this puzzle. There was certainly some interesting logic going in there, perhaps that you might not have seen covered on the channel so far. There was a lot to do with with how these 0 clues interacted with boxes, because in a lot of cases where we thought we had possibilities, actually we could rule them out because of the way things were being placed meant that we would have ended up with 3 1s or 9s within a box. So we could make some interesting deductions there. I think the other interesting thing about this puzzle was almost the extent to which the between 1 and 9 aspect of the puzzle gave us the complementary side to things, where we look at the totals outside of 1 and 9, and we actually made a lot of progress by looking at some of these columns with quite big totals between, which had some interesting restrictions for what happened outside of 1 and 9. So I hope you found that enjoyable. See you again soon on Cracking the Cryptic.